I didn't. That hit what?
Hello, everybody. Oh, can everybody hear me?
We can hear.
Okay, so everybody knows I am coming to you live from bed because Dalton is really, really sick. He has strep throat. So I might have to disappear. You're not going to see me on camera tonight, but I will be here as long as I can. He is sleeping, but I need to be here with him. So we are joined tonight by Cayley Elaine, which is Cayley, and it is her partner in crime there, Miss Nikki. These ladies have been on with us before. And then catty corner to me is Starr, which her and I have been on lives together, but not on my channel. We've been live on Dom Primetime Treasure Hunter together before. And then my co-host Rod is here. So we're going to go ahead and let all of these ladies introduce themselves. And then we've already got 9 questions before we even started. So here are Cayley and Nikki.
Hi, I'm Cayley, and this is Nikki. I'll let her introduce herself in a second. We are both full-time resellers. I own a business. We're sitting here in our office, and then Nikki runs pretty much everything. She does. She does it all here at the office. We specialize in pre-owned clothing, shoes, and accessories. We rarely dabble outside of that, and we do women's and men's clothing, and we enjoy sharing that on YouTube. We focus on a high sell-through rate. You want to tell them a little bit about you?
My name is Nikki. Obviously, I'm here tonight with you guys. I'm here with Cayley. As she said, we're sitting in the office. I've been with Cayley for a little bit over 2 years and knew nothing about reselling prior to starting with her. So I'm excited to be here tonight, and hopefully we'll be able to answer some questions for you.
Perfect. Here is Miss Starr.
Hi, I'm Starr. I am one half of a team. However, my boyfriend does not ever come on camera. And the joke is that I invented him. But we do a volume-based business. Our cost of goods here is usually 99 cents or less. So we focus on bread and butter, mostly jeans and plush. That's what I'm known for. I'm the plushie queen and the jeans queen. And on my YouTube channel, I do a lot of what solds and hauls, and I try to make it more of a teaching channel that really caters to new resellers, but there's something for everyone.
Perfect. Rod, that's funny. We're still, even when I'm on the phone, we're still clicking things at the same time.
Well, you told me to hit the buttons. And Kat, just in case if you have to leave tonight, I have a backup host tonight. Is the boot? He's still
the
here.
boot can totally fill in for me.
Saga continues this week. For those that don't know, I have this giant boot that I've been trying to get rid of. It's a store display, a giant UGG. It's been sitting in my office forever.
Everybody needs an UGG. Yeah, I except for me. I don't need an UGG.
Starr, right. They're asking you to turn your microphone up a little bit.
I am checking my settings. Yeah. I mean, I can move it closer to me.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
But every time I do that, I unplug it.
It's so funny because I did that with my camera when I first started, and people sent me super chats to buy a new cord. And I did buy a new cord, and it doesn't happen. But I don't think the mic one is replaceable.
Well, with me, it's a user problem.
Listen, I just used the mic on my webcam thing. All right. Sapphire has the first question, and she wants to know, did eBay do away with cheaper standard international shipping option? It's gone off of my listings. So now do buyers have to pay the higher rates for the new eBay international service?
I actually don't know the answer to this. I do know that they started a new international shipping program. we started with the beta testing, so I'm not even aware if it went to everyone else, but I do know that they were switching to a new international standard. And we've been on that for a while. To be honest, I don't know what the rates are because I just turned it on. We don't do any direct international shipping because I'm a little scared to do it, to be honest. It's just easier. So I'm going to default to somebody else. But I do know that they did come out with a new shipping program.
So they changed the global shipping program to the new international program. And I think they go to Iowa now. They used to go to Kentucky. And it is higher cost for the buyers from what I understand. But I'm with you. I don't like to do international on my own. It's too scary when you can just toggle a button on and eBay handles it. And I can say we've had one return, and the message we got from eBay was, we refunded the buyer at no cost to you. You're not going to get the jeans back, but it didn't cost you anything. So they do handle returns. And so that's another reason to have it.
Yeah, so they did away with the global shipping program, or they're in the process of doing away with it. Not everyone that I know is actually switched over to the international. They are rolling it out across the board. There's actually multiple locations that they are shipping to now. So I know one is actually in Illinois. There is one on the West Coast, I think, as well. So depending on where you live and where they'll be shipping to. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do. If you're enrolled in international shipping through the eBay program, you're fully protected, but the buyer's going to have to pay the fees, whatever eBay wants to charge, because those items get sent to the warehouse and eBay ships those out in a bulk to try to reduce their shipping costs. But they do take care of all the risks, returns. They do get broken. Once it arrives to that location, you're pretty much set, but you have no control over the fees. The only other option you would have is ship through pirate ship or do your own international shipping, but then you do take on all the risks. So it's just up to you how you want to run your business. I personally would rather have less sales internationally and go through the program and then not have to worry about it, because I do sell some high-end collectibles and it's just not worth me risking it myself.
Yeah, so mine's still showing the standard international shipping, and that's what I'm still clicking. It says if I don't choose anything that it will go through the new eBay program, but most of my stuff, at least lately, is like stuff under $50. So I would rather the buyer have that lower cost and I do the eBay standard international. But on more expensive items, and I was doing 50, but I think I switched it to 100. So over $100, I will go with eBay's because there are more protections in that. But I sell a lot to like Canada, that they're just paying like $13 for an 8-ounce, item like a scarf or something really. Hats. I sell a lot of hats to Canada too, and I feel like they wouldn't do that if I wasn't doing the cheaper standard international. We got a super chat from Mark. He's on time, but he says he still has to contribute his $5 fee. So
he'll throw off our mojo if he doesn't.
I know, right? All right, Mark, here is your super chat. My poor little buddy. I saw somebody say that they had strep in the chat to get his tonsils out, and my daughter, my 21-year-old, just had to get her tonsils taken out. So if he continues to get strep, we definitely will pose that to the doctors for sure, because I don't want to go through this over and over. He is so miserable. Poor little kid. All right. Up next, Miss Sue said, oh, you gotta forgive my phone fingers here. I'm not used to doing this from the phone. She says, on Poshmark, what do you do about original price? It is required, but should I just have to guess if I don't know?
I never guess because I feel like you might not be misleading the buyer, but it might cause a sale to not happen. I just put 0 because it's required and move on. I think that's what a lot of resellers do. But ultimately, if you wanted to find out the price, you probably could, but it'd be a lot of research on your end. But we just put 0 and move on.
We use 0 as well, unless we have a new tags item where you can see the original MSRP, and then we'll put that in. But 0, I think, is the default for most resellers.
Yep, I do the same thing.
Yeah, and I put in 0 as well, or I tell my mom to because my mom does my cross posting. So we just put everything as 0. Miss Darla says, do you have a rule if an item ranges from 8 to 50 to just list it as $25, buy it now, or would you use auction style? So if it's lower priced, what is your go-to? Or she's saying, do you go by whatever Worth Point says it's sold for? So I guess basically she's asking as far as pricing and auction versus buy it now.
Yeah, we don't use Worth Point. We determine our pricing just through eBay sold. That includes the stuff that goes on over to Poshmark. We just find it more accurate. I've never used Worth Point, so maybe that is more accurate for you, but we sell clothing. I'm not sure how well you can look up stuff on Worth Point for clothing, but we do our eBay comps, and then we strictly do buy it now. I hardly ever run an auction. The only time we really do auction style is if we don't know what something is worth and we feel like risking it. But honestly, most of the time we just do a buy it now price or best offer. I don't have a lot of experience with auctions.
So we don't do auctions anymore. 6-7 years ago, we used to use them to clearance old stuff out, but it wasn't very successful. So that's why we don't do it anymore. We comp on eBay as well. Sometimes I'll look at Terapeak. And to be kind of honest, about 99% of what we list, we don't comp anymore because we do a lot of the bread and butter, the volume-based stuff. I'm buying 100 pairs of American Eagles every week for 99 cents each. I know I start those at 20. So I have it up here, and I have a price guide in the guides that I wrote that I will refer to if I don't have something memorized. But I comp on eBay and use that same price across all my platforms.
Yeah, so I usually always comp on eBay, and then if it's a unique item, I will double check. Sometimes check Worth Point just in case if it's something just off the wall. Like my last video I just dropped, I picked up a giant thing of like Looney Tunes motorcycle pieces, and they were comping on eBay for like $30 to $50, but on Worth Point, some were selling for $150 to $250. So you just certain collectibles is good to do that, but when you're doing smaller items, I never run auctions on them unless I'm trying to clear out items, or if I buy a big lot of like toys or Legos or something that I just don't want to, look up all the prices, don't want to waste the time. I'll just put in start an auction. That'd be the only time I start an auction, just let it run. I'll start it at the least amount that I'm willing to take for it and let it run. But other than that, I would just list it. Don't run auctions because most of the time it's going to fall 9 to 10 times going to fall less than what, it would sell as a buy now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for me, I typically only run auctions on higher priced items. Like, can you guys hear me or am I frozen?
No, we can hear you.
Okay, so I only run on higher priced items. Huh?
I said you're not on video, so we can't tell if you're ever frozen or not. It's just
well, no, like I was talking, and do you see how the little ring around me is going? The little ring wasn't going, so I didn't know if you could hear me.
Probably a delay with your phone.
So I only do, it's storming here. Is it storming? It's been storming all day here. So I only do higher price. Like I actually have 2 auctions going now, and I only run about 1% auctions. But one is a rare sterling silver carousel. And then what is the other one? I don't even remember. I'm like losing my mind. I think it's an expensive costume. I don't remember. It's a jewelry piece. But I would not, for me, because I pick up so much different stuff, I would never set like a set buy it now price for something. I am like Starr though with my linens, because you're not going to find the same vintage handkerchief or vintage scarf. So I do kind of have set prices in my head for those, and I always pay $1 for them, and it ranges from $15 to $25 typically, unless they're really impressive. And then everything else I always look up on eBay first. Worth Point, I only go to if there's only like one sold on eBay, or if I can't find it on eBay. So like I don't check Worth Point for every single thing, because the most important thing to me is the more recent comps, which is what you're going to find on eBay itself, versus actually looking on WorthPoint for it. So I don't use WorthPoint unless I cannot find it on eBay. And I wanted to real quick answer. So Sapphire, my eBay, I click add an international option and it says standard, but it sounds like in the chat, some people are saying that you cannot, that they are saying that their standard international was taken away. So I guess maybe they're phasing it out. I do not know if that's the case because I still have it and I haven't heard of that. But now you guys are saying that it's done. So if somebody knows for sure if they're ruling it out, let us know in the comments for sure. Miss Diane. Come on, phone. There it is. She said, I'm having my first Whatnot show this Thursday. Does anyone have any tips, tricks, or advice? And thanks, Kat, for giving me inspiration to do it. She said she loved my Whatnot video and said I'm a great teacher. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Whatnot, the theory of Whatnot. I know you have been pretty involved with Whatnot. We originally discussed about doing Whatnot and honestly just said we wanted to get to a good point in our business where we could add on something additional or try something new. And it just didn't happen as far as time, or hasn't happened yet. We still have intentions of potentially trying Whatnot and even Posh shows, but we just haven't gotten to that point yet. We do hope, like I said, at some point to get there. So we're definitely not the best person to offer tips or tricks on that for sure. I have watched some just to kind of see what they're about. And I think the biggest thing I've seen is like be organized ahead of time. That's the tip I'm going to give everybody that I feel like as somebody who's never done it can give you. Be organized ahead of time. Have your things in the order of what you're planning on listing them or showing them. And be able to like quickly maneuver through that. Otherwise, I feel like they get pretty redundant. So
I haven't done them yet either. I signed up last year. And my intention was to do like more of a TV show episodes with my plushies. If you do follow me on Instagram, you're probably familiar with the little shows I do and their voices. So that's my tip from watching them myself and everyone that gave me feedback when I thought I was going to do them. Be interesting. Maybe have a gimmick or something with your personality that people want to watch. Be engaging. Don't just come on and be like, I have this for sale. Like have a personality. And if you don't have a personality, then you probably want to do more like the off-camera silent auctions because people watch things when they're entertaining. So that's my advice.
So the best way to describe Whatnot, it's not a selling app, it's a social media platform. So just kind of what they were saying here is what you like on Instagram, what you like watching on Facebook, what you like watching on YouTube that's entertaining, add those factors into your Whatnot. Because Whatnot is a social media platform that allows you to resell on there. It's about the social interacting. A lot of people go on there just to be entertained and watch shows.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I highly recommend that you go on there, you schedule your shows in advance, make sure you have good pictures, make sure that you have a video up there. You can show off your items with the video. You have all those options. Especially being new, you want to add as much information as possible with just those. I would pre-list all your items with at least one photo in there so that people know what to expect when they go in there. Also, too, is I highly recommend when you run your auctions, stick to like 15 to 20 seconds. The reason for that is, especially being new, if you get 3 people in there, they don't want your item. If you're running 60-second auctions, that's a lot of downtime. I mean, it's like going to a restaurant and sitting there and you're just waiting for the server to come. It feels like 10 minutes. Really, it's only a minute or two. So it's something to really keep in mind. Also, too, be entertaining. Make sure you're energetic. Don't be monotone. I also recommend, your listing price, because here's the thing. If you're going to start at $1, $2, you got to remember, you start $1, you're automatically going to lose about 50 cents. You're going to probably lose about 60 cents on that item if it sells for $1. So are you is it worth to you selling something for 42 cents or 45 cents on there? So you might want to start $2 or if you don't care, like when I did my first one, I didn't care. I started everything at $1 because I was paying to build a following, so I started I did a plush one. I put like 40 items up. I started everything at $1. Half my items sold at $1. Some sold at $5, some sold at $6, $7. But I literally had 50 cents or less than all those plush. So I didn't care. I was pretty much paying for my audience at that point in time and building a following. Do some giveaways. Just anything that you can think of. Highly recommend go on there and watch a ton of other people do it. See what you don't like, what annoys you, or what makes you want to leave the chat or take notes on that. Also see what you like, and then use those factors into your own show. But it is difficult. I will warn you, when you first start out, maybe only do about 30 items, just to start out something smaller, 20, 30 items, just to get it under your belt first, and then go from there. So good luck.
Yeah, so I catalog everything. I think everybody knows that. We catalog 100 items per show, and we've been doing 6 to 7 shows a week. Whatnot is now my main income versus eBay being my main income, and I don't hide that. But we are putting more time into Whatnot. So each show has about 8 hours put into it, even though we're only live for 2. So we do catalog everything, and I go over all of it in my Whatnot video. But I would recommend, if you're a new seller and don't have the following, take requests. Catalog it all, but if somebody's there and wants to buy item 55 and you're on 1, run 55. And I'll tell you guys, I did that with my postcards because I don't have a postcard following. I have a jewelry following. So when I did my postcards, I ran them out of order by request, because when I had that buyer there that wanted an item 50 items down my list, I wanted to sell it to them. And so I would say I would do requests if you're new, because you don't want to have to make them wait. Our jewelry shows, we sell out every single show. So for me, I can say, yeah, I'm going in order, we'll tag you. But if you don't have those buyers there and you're not selling everything, I would take requests and run what the audience wants. And Marsha put it in, guys, follow the chat. There's nothing more frustrating than and we raid a new seller every night. So we see a lot of them, because I do that every show to help people that will ask you a question and then they don't read your response. And, it's like, why did you just ask me this when you're not even reading the chat and following along? So be interactive with the chat, pay attention to what they're saying, because a lot of times they might want to buy something. I've seen people ask 3, 4, 5 times for somebody to run something and it gets ignored and they just lost the sale. So I would also say don't set your expectations very high for your first few shows if you don't have a big following. And like Rod said, you're kind of paying to get followers. I might even do like a giveaway only show here in the next couple of weeks just to build my following more on Whatnot, because the more followers you have, the more buyers you have and the more eyes. So I've seen a few of my friends have done them. And you're out the shipping. So, it's, $120 for 30 items. If it's jewelry, if you get into heavier items, you're going to be spending a lot more on those giveaways. So I would think about doing that as well, just to build it. And some of the bigger sellers I've seen will do like a 20 item giveaway show right before their main show, where they have like more expensive stuff. So they run the giveaway show for like 20 minutes and then they send everybody into that main show, and they get quite a few people by doing that. So I would definitely check that out.
Rally Roots just did that for their vintage t-shirts. They did an entire thing where they gave away like 30 like $10 to $15 shirts, and then they had a big vintage t-shirt sale. They probably had like $10,000 to $20,000 worth of merchandise. So you're right.
Yeah, it's a good way to get people in, because everybody's going to come in for giveaways because everybody likes free. So basically, you're just paying for your own advertising is all you're doing.
Cayley and I are over here taking notes.
There's an answer to our question from earlier, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. eBay Standard International will be replaced, so we will not be allowed to do it anymore starting July 1st, 2023. So I guess I should just quit turning it on, because what's the point?
Yeah.
Guess I'm going to stop.
6 weeks.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess, it'll stay on mine that I have. Fabulous Flamingo says, I just received live recordings on 50 cassette tapes of Grateful Dead shows. Does anybody know if this can be sold, since they're from a personal collection? They are not studio tapes.
Pass.
Yep. Pass.
From what I understand, it goes against copyright laws.
So there's a way around that to sell them. A lot of people do it with VHS and they do it with cassette tapes. You sell them as blanks so that for people to record over them. What a lot of people do for like, and I'll use like VHS for example, they'll have the old TV shows from the 80s and 90s because people want the commercials off those tapes. So what they'll do is they'll sell them as blank tapes, but then they'll list it, may have recordings XYZ on there. But it's a workaround around it. I mean, do it I'm not condoning you to go do what you have to do what's best for your account and everything, but that is the workaround on there. So what I would recommend doing is go on there, maybe type in Grateful Dead, blank tapes, and kind of see what other sellers are doing that for sold items, and then kind of give you a better understanding of how they're wording their listing, kind of a workaway around it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, so I hate to say and then be wrong. And I know some of you have just come in. We have almost 300 people in here, so thank you all for being here. I am feeling fine, but Dalton has strep and he was throwing up for a long time before he fell asleep. So I did not feel comfortable leaving him. I normally come to you guys from the shed, so I'm coming to you live from bed, and I'm not brave enough to show you me laying in bed, so I'm hiding, essentially. That is what's going on. Cat is hiding. Miss Linda says, do you shoot your photos in square format? I do for eBay, but I find when I cross post to other platforms, it crops into the image.
We do use square format for pretty much everything, and we also cross post. I haven't noticed any issues with Poshmark as far as like cropping anything so difficult that like you're unable to see the item. But I do know that there have been other sellers that have said that they've had that issue. We just focus on using square format, and then we just verify that everything, when they get cross-posted, one, gets completely cross-posted, and two, looks the way that it's intended to. But I know there are some cross-listing tools that you use that do end up cropping those in the process.
I use square mode on my phone, and I actually do everything strictly on List Perfectly. So I take my photos on my phone inside of the List Perfectly catalog into my templates. And when I cross post from List Perfectly to other platforms, it keeps the integrity of the photos.
Yeah, so I just switched over to the photo room, and I do put them in square. I would have to go back and look at my listings now. Now, I know it was a while back, was messing up. It was cropping them weird, but I would have to go back and double check. I haven't looked in a while, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I do shoot in square format, but honestly, I haven't paid attention to if I'm getting cropped on the other platforms because my mom cross posts for me. So I'm not sure. And Starr saying List Perfectly making me think. So we are supposed to give away a virtual ticket tonight, but I cannot do that not on the computer. So I'm going to go out on a limb and hope Trish won't get me. And I will give away 2 virtual tickets to the camp listing party next week, since I cannot use my StreamYard giveaway. I don't think it'll let you do it. Maybe you can try. If you Google StreamYard giveaway, see if maybe it'll let you do it. We'll have Rod look into it. But yeah, if not, we will give you guys we'll give away 2 tickets next week. We are giving away a free virtual ticket to Camp Listing Party every week until it happens. So
and what is Camp Listing Party, Kat?
Camp Listing Party is an amazing seller. It's almost like my retreat. So there's 27 speakers. Starr, are you going?
Yes.
Yay. So Starr will be there. Cayley and Nikki, are you going by chance?
Unfortunately, no.
Womp womp.
We got invited to, but we have a lot of personal travel surrounding that date, so we're unable. I wish we could.
Well, maybe next one. I have bought tickets to Vegas too, and I'll be at the Reseller rally in Cincinnati in September as well. I'm going all over the place for events coming up here shortly. So there are going to be 27 speakers, guys. It is not required you use List Perfectly. It is for all resellers. I am speaking. Starr, are you speaking or are you just coming?
Pass.
She said pass. Rod is speaking. I am speaking. There are 27 speakers. I cannot memorize them all. So there will be a lot of information. I love the events for the networking. You get to meet a ton of people. I don't know over half the speakers, so I'm excited to get to meet some new people And if you're not it's June 27th and 28th in Phoenix, Arizona. If you cannot go, though, they are doing the virtual experience, which is what we are giving away every Tuesday. But if you're not able to travel or you don't want to go to Phoenix, then you can buy a virtual ticket and watch all of the fun live with us. So that will be coming up here almost a month, which is kind of scary. It's not very far away. It's kind of scary. I haven't flown since I was 8. Rod is flying with me. He's gonna be my crutch. That's my plan.
I think the virtual tickets people were asking, I think they're $50 if I'm not mistaken. I think the in-person tickets are like $2.99 in person, I think.
$2.99 or $3.50, but you get free food and drink.
Yeah.
It is open bar, people.
Yeah.
It's all inclusive. There's
Yes,
food and snacks.
So.
You got me sold on the snacks.
Kat, do you know what we're talking about yet?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. I know.
Trish likes to keep me in suspense. I'm like, Trish, I need to work on my presentation. Can you tell me what I'm talking? Yeah, I'm working on it this weekend. Nope. I love Trish. I can't imagine putting something this size together and like how much work and how stressful it is. So I'm fine because I've told her topics that I already have presentations on. I'll just need to tweak them. So it won't be like she's springing a ton of work on me. So she has topics to pick from. But yeah, so I don't know yet. I will tell you guys, I promise, as soon as I know.
I know. I think I'm
go ahead, Rod.
On grading. So I'm going to be doing a whole thing on getting items graded, anything from sports cards, VHS, video games, magazines, comic books. So if you ever want to learn about grading, how to grade, even if you're not interested in grading collectibles, it's good information to know, because just by putting little keywords in your listing can appeal to people that do grade and can actually boost your sales dramatically. So that's what I'll be speaking about, and answer a lot of questions on that if anyone has any questions.
Perfect. Miss Diane says, I'm in the process of downsizing from a 3,800 square foot house. I only plan on taking with me what I really want to keep. How would you suggest she go about liquidating her own estate?
I'm putting that on Cayley.
I am not sure. I'm gonna guess that a lot of those things are hard goods, so I think I'm gonna default to someone else. We're not very experienced in hard goods.
We moved to Florida last year and then back again to Pittsburgh. And when we moved, we had 4,000 active listings, and a lot of it was hard goods. So what we did, if you're familiar with me and my channel, I call things that end up not being as great as you thought, or maybe you shouldn't have sourced when you were learning. I call them poop. So we sorted items into worthwhile and poop. And it doesn't mean it's a bad item in general. They were still good to donate. So we took a lot of the plush that was poop. Like I had a whole bunch of Beanie Babies. That's a whole mess I got into. I donated those to a children's hospital and a domestic violence shelter for the children. And a lot of the hard goods and clothing, we were able to call the veterans here, and they come to your home and pick them up. So we donated poop, like it was poop for reselling. And then anything that was worthwhile, we boxed up and sold wholesale to other resellers, so that we were only moving. We went from 4,000 active listings to under 1,000 to move to Florida with us.
Yeah, so there's a couple options that you have. One is if you go through an estate company, a lot of estate companies want to have a minimum of like $5,000 or more worth of goods. So if you were to go that route, but that will take, anywhere from, a couple weeks to a month and a half, depending on their schedule, and they have to come in and catalog everything. Another option would be is start having some yard sales, multiple yard sales, just start moving some items there. Start listing your bigger items on Facebook Marketplace, offer up. I mean, if you're looking to do it that way, there are other companies out there. What I would recommend do is probably go in groups of like Facebook in your local area and look for other resellers out there, because resellers will come in and buy bulk. And if you have some people locally in the area that understand that, hey, you have these items that, you're willing to work with a reseller. If someone reached out and told me that, I would show up and I'd be willing to buy in bulk. And I have done that. Many people have reached out to me. I have showed up and I have bought in bulk because they understand the game. I understand the game. They know I have to make a profit in it. So it works for them. They need to move stuff fast. And I'm looking to get new inventory. So there's a couple options for you. Just depends how much time you have and how much time you want to put into it. If you don't care, put it out for a yard sale and just start blowing it out. It's going to be the fastest way to move stuff. And then, take pictures of stuff while it's out there and reach out to other people. And then also, too, there's a lot of places that will come for donations and come pick up furniture and pick up stuff that you can donate to different charities. So, there are all your options. You have to see just what your time frame is and how much effort you want to put into it.
Yeah, I think Rod pretty much covered it. The most hands-off way is going to be, like he said, have an estate company come in, catalog everything that you don't want and sell it. And they might start everything at $1 or $2 or $5. So you might not get what you want. So the garage sale would give you a little more control over that. And that estate company is also going to take fees for running that auction and sale for you. So you got to keep that in mind as well. So honestly, if it was me, well, now I'm almost licensed to be an auctioneer. So I would probably do it myself, but I would probably go with an estate company because I wouldn't want to do all the work. I'm not going to lie. I would be like, okay, here's all the stuff, lot it up how you want, and give me a check and be hands off, because I don't have free time. I don't see myself moving because of this. I have 3 sheds full of inventory and a house as well. Yeah, they do downsizing. Max Sold is one that people put up their own, and I see them all the time. And it seems like they move their stuff typically into storage units, and then people pick up from the storage units versus a house on estate sales. So I think Max Sold, you might be able to do it as an individual, because if it's your stuff, you're not required to have the auction license. So if you're just running that one estate sale, in most states you can do it yourself. So Max Sold might be, and it's maxsold.com, maxsold.com. That might be something to look into, and then just, lot it up like you would want to buy it. Depends on how much work, how many lots do you want to make? Do you want to list everything individual or group some stuff together?
You also got to remember too, even though these estate sales companies do take a big fee, they also have a mailing list. They're going to put pictures online. They're going to advertise for you. They're going to do the marketing. So it does save you all that hassle. And they have a normal list of people that follow that estate company that are going to come every week for their estates.
That's what I was thinking of, was the following behind them. Yard sales in our area, we're from a pretty low income area. Most times they mark things for like a quarter to 50 cents. So if we had to do a yard sale, I would say we definitely lose a lot of money, but I could definitely see an estate sale working out, especially with the following of people who go to those estates or auctions all the time.
Yeah, you can
yeah, those companies have it.
And then what's left over, run it as a yard sale and just move it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if anybody can explain this, and I think with what everybody sells, I would probably be the one to answer it. Does anybody else know how can you tell if an item's been hand painted?
It's just texture, isn't it?
Yeah, so normally you can feel it. I normally find out when I put it in the dishwasher and then it's all gone. So
I can tell on clothes.
Yeah, I feel like it's normally just like the texture of feeling it on whether you can like feel the grooves in it or not. But that's not a professional opinion. That's just the random things I've seen and picked up on my own.
I think it comes down to what type of items they're talking about, because there's people out there like that do touch-ups like action figures and other things to try to fix blemishes, and you can just tell by the texture or tell by the quality of it as you rub your hand over. So I think it's going to be more of a hands-on feeling, but I'm sure Kat has a better answer. Kat?
I really don't. I hate to say it, and I don't know if you guys can hear. Dalton is snoring very, very, very loud right now.
I can hear him, so you're good.
He's a little man. He is like snoring away. So
here you go. Here's an answer.
Oh, use a magnifying glass and you can see paint strokes when magnified. Transferware does have a dot or lithograph pattern, and it's very, very straight lines. Like for me, I can just look at them and tell. That's why I was going to say I don't really have a good answer, because I can't explain how time computing that in my head. But that is a very, very good answer right there. Thank you.
I'm just laughing at this. I find this extremely funny.
I mean, I wanted to put a new picture. I was telling everybody, but I think I have to be on the computer to do it, and I'm on my phone because this one is like over 3 years old of me and I do still have the dummy. The dummy was a gift from Harry Humstone. I do still have the dummy in the shed, much to my husband's dislike. My husband really, really hates this dummy. So,
Kat, your picture's gone now, so you just have a almost looks like an eyeball.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture of it.
That's weird. I can't look at anything, or I'd kick myself up here.
Oh, okay.
It's weird. I click on something and then it takes me out. It's really weird. So I cannot leave this screen, I guess is basically what I'm saying. And I can't type to you guys. I saw some questions. I cannot type on the phone either, only on the computer.
Yeah, I was trying to answer some of your questions for you. So they're
thank you. Yeah. Aussie Budgets said, any advice on listing items because they have lost motivation to list?
Struggle's real.
Yeah, that's a common problem that resellers have. I'm going to let Nikki answer this because honestly, I just force myself to do it anyways. I'm just kind of, I don't know, my mind's a computer. Sometimes I'm like, you got a list. It's just something we do, but she's a lot better at the motivation than me.
I'm a dig deep kind of person. I will 100% torture myself into doing all the things I hate doing before I do anything else. And so I would say if you're struggling with motivation to list items, but you find that you enjoy something else in your business more, then I would force yourself to do the listing piece before you do the other items that you enjoy. Only because it's kind of your motivation at the end of the day. It's like a reward. I'm a big reward person in general. Find something that makes you happy. If it's not another task in your business that you get to do after you list, maybe it's you like going on walks, so you go to the bike path and go on a walk. Maybe you want to reward yourself with ice cream. Like I like to reward myself with ice cream when I've had a rough day. Maybe you are just going through reseller burnout, which is totally a thing. Cayley and I mentioned we're going on some personal travel soon. It's because the burnout's been real. Sometimes you just have to know your limitations and say, I need to take a whole day away. I'm going to take one day off. I'm going to make all the excuses for myself. I'm going to go have fun, do what I need to do, get my mind right. But tomorrow when I come in, I'm going to be a whole new person. And you have to give yourself that allowance to do so. Those are kind of my two options.
So I'm very excited because this is one of the huge things that I preach and teach about on my channel. And it's funny that you said a lot of what you said because it's a lot of what I tell people. So one of the things my dad used to tell me, and he was one of the wisest men I ever knew, was do the things you hate to do first every day. And that's exactly what you just said. So we do shipping, photographs. We do it in order of dislike, and we get the things that we don't like out of the way. And my favorite is actually taking photos because I can watch my true crime shows. So that's the last thing I could do every day. If I got all my other work done, I get to sit and take photos and watch true crime. And that feeds into the reward system, which I also talk about on my channel all the time. It's about balance and it's about reward. So you have to find that balance. You are going to get burned out if you work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have to set office hours. You have to take time off. I preach self-care all the time. You have to take time to take care of yourself, to spend time with your family, your friends, your pets, to eat things you enjoy, to read books you enjoy, to watch shows you enjoy. If you don't find that balance, you're definitely going to get burned out. But you can't always play either. You have to find that balance. And that's where I teach a lot about routines and to-do lists. It takes 30 days to create a good habit. So if you force yourself to do something for 30 days, by the end of the 30 days, it's autopilot. I don't like making my bed, but the first thing I do every morning when I get out of it is make it because it's a habit I've been doing for 20 years. So once you get all of these routines and these to-do lists and everything in place on a schedule, even when you don't feel like doing something, you're going to do it because it's natural. I get up in the morning, I make my bed, I take a shower, I do my shipping, I do my listing, in that order, and I know at 5 o'clock I get to take off, eat dinner, read a chapter of Stephen King, or do something enjoyable. So that's my advice.
So first, I'm going to disagree with you on one thing there that you said is I refuse to make my bed. All right. When I get up in the morning, I'm going to lay back in, and no one else is going to see my bed.
You sound like my boyfriend. My half is made.
I know. I mean, you both made some really good points there. I would say, one of the thing what's going to hurt your account the most is not shipping out your items on time. So one of the first things you should do every day is ship out your items. Well, if I know I have to ship those out, what I do is I trick myself. Hey, I have to list 5 items before I can go and ship those items out. So I force myself to list those 5 items first, or split up throughout the day. A couple other options would be is if you list from a phone or a laptop. If you have all your pictures done, change of scenery goes far. Go to the local coffee shop, sit there because you're in a new environment. You're by yourself there. Put on some headphones and just list because hey, I'm going to be here for 2 hours. Let's see how many listings I get done. And just changing the scenery up because sometimes you get around the house and you have cleaning to do, you have laundry to do, you have other things, like your mind goes all over the place. So change of scenery does help a lot. And one of the biggest things I preach all the time is resetting at the end of your day. So at the end of your day, make sure you put all your items back. You have a clean workstation. And then one of the biggest things I would say that helped me dramatically is the night before, I'll go to my death pile and I'll pick out 10, 20 items I want to list the next day. I'll take those before I end my day. I'll take those into my office. I'll put them next to the photo stand, and I'll just take photos of them my phone's ringing. I'll take photos of them that night. So that way, when I wake up the next morning, my photos are already done. All I have to do now is just start listing. So it makes my listing so much easier because half the work's already done the night before. So those little things can really help you out. For if you're going to do the same thing over and over again, that's a definite insanity. Expecting different results. It's not going to happen. So you have to change it up to do things to, make it better on yourself.
Yeah, so for me, it's been hard lately because I lost my assistant a few weeks ago. So it's only me as far as eBay again. And that's hard when you're doing 7 whatnot shows a week. So I was listing 5 items a day and I wasn't getting the results I wanted. So I started making myself list 10 items a day, and I really did not want to do it. So I absolutely have to make myself do it. And yeah, so my go-to to watch and listen to is motivational stuff. I like Oprah Winfrey a lot. I like Steve Harvey a lot. And I find the motivational stuff helps me. So that is what I put on in the background when I am taking photos, is motivational stuff. And since I started listening to that stuff about a year ago, it's kind of really turned around the way I think, and honestly, my whole life. So that is my go-to as far as that. And I only take the pictures in the shed. Then I come in and I watch CSI while I am listing my items. And so I think just tell yourself your goal, whether it's 5 or 10, or even if it's only 2, and just tell yourself you're going to do it whether you want to or not. Because most of the time for me, and if you guys don't know, I started making resin art, and that is what I want to do because it's fun. And so I'm like, okay, I can make, and it's the reward system again, okay, if I list my 5 or 10 things, I can go make resin and play with resin. LaDon, I am okay. My son is not. He is very sick with strep throat and has been throwing up most of the evening. So he's asleep, snoring next to me. You might hear him snoring. But I don't want to leave him and go out to the shed. And I don't want to show you me in bed because I just am not that brave. I'm not going to lie. So I am fine, but he is not. But he started antibiotics today. So hopefully he will be feeling better in a day or 2. But I wanted to be here and he's still snoring. Like, I'm not disturbing his sleep, so I can still be here and answer you guys' questions. But yeah, so I tend to do mine, like everybody else said, first thing in the day. And I agree with shipping. Like, you have to ship. Shipping is how you're making your money, So I do the shipping, and then after I ship, I'll take my photographs, and then I come hang out on the couch and watch whatever I want to watch while I'm listing. And then I can play with resin or do whatever else I'm doing. And I do have whatnot help. So I want to make sure everybody does not think that I am doing all of this by myself, because I am not. Brad's Aunt Roberta, who is in her 80s, is cataloging all my whatnot shows for me from her house and doing an amazing job. And my mom cross posts for me. And then my daughter ships whatnot. So for me, whatnot, I am only live. And then I am doing all of eBay as well now. So I do have help, just not on the eBay front as of right now. So I cannot do all of that by myself. There's no way.
The chat got jokes
I saw
tonight.
two super chats.
No,
Listen, Bradford's been giving me crap all night. He said he's laughing at me. He's not laughing at Dalton being sick, but he's laughing at me hiding behind the circle in my bed and Dalton snoring. Beach Walker sent a $5 super chat with Dalton's little ninja pose. So my members have specialty emojis. That is one of them. Dalton was ninja kicking. He is still obsessed and convinced he is a real ninja. He loves being a ninja. And said she hopes he sleeps well tonight and feels better soon. I do too. It's hard for me to sleep when he's sick because I'm like, I want to hear. And if you guys don't know, I think I've said this a million times. He sleeps in my bed. He's very rotten. So that's why he is always in my bed. That is where he sleeps. He is a rotten little child, and that's how I want him. And I slept in my parents' bed till I was 7. Random fact for you guys. Oh, and my sister's 7 years younger than me. Go figure. Anyways, here's your topic. There was Dalton riding a dolphin. And Miss LaDawn sent a $5 super chat as well and said, get well better soon. I'm going to give you the pillow fight. Miss Barbara loves this one. I think Miss LaDawn will also. Here you go. So Brooke, who is in that with me, or in that with Dalton, I was recording them. She also is sick right now. My 21-year-old is sick as well. And she just had her tonsils taken out 6 weeks ago. So hopefully he did not pass along the strep, because that could be a rough road for her as well. So hopefully not. And she will be coming, for any of you going to Phoenix, my 21-year-old will be with me. She's coming with me to camp listing party, so you guys can meet her. All right. Miss Caroline had a question and said, what is a good % ratio of fast selling items to long tail? This is a good question to have a consistent income stream. She said she's trying to strategize and she's finding she has lots of long tail starting out.
We focus a lot on quick selling items. We check the sell-through rate on everything we pick up. Not to say that we don't pick up some more long tail items. To say a ratio, I just pick up whatever is profitable. We definitely do pick up some long tail items, but I try to focus on higher value if I do that. If I had to guess a percentage that we have, I don't know, maybe like 10% of things are long tail items, but again, not really a percentage that I focus on. And I personally don't recommend to anyone, whether it's clothing or hard goods, to focus on that ratio, because you don't know what you're going to find in your area. And sometimes you have to work with what you have. So that's my advice.
So I absolutely agree with you. You have to go with what you can find in your area. And I've mentioned we get 99 cents Salvation Army days, 99 cents Goodwill days here. I also have someone who sources bins for me from the plush, and sources plush for me in the bins in Iowa and mails them to me. So our cost of goods is really low. We are high volume. And so we just focus on whatever we find. And some days I can find 5 Robert Graham shirts and 10 pairs of Miss Me jeans, and I know those are going to flip fast. And some days I don't find any of that, and I come home with hundreds of pairs of American Eagle, Gap, the longer tail items, but they're only 99 cents. So we just focus on anything we can find that's profitable. It's like if it's 99 cents, it's coming home with me. And I do a lot of plush. And if anyone knows anything about plush, they're the longest of the long tails. They take a long time to sell. So we don't focus so much on long versus short. It's cost of goods versus, and then volume is what we focus on.
So it's not always about long tail, and they both make great points because you first not only source what you can in your own area, but source what you like. Because if you're selling stuff that you hate to sell, you're going to hate reselling, first and foremost. Secondly, you make your money in the buy. So it doesn't matter if it's a long tail item. If you get it for 99 cents, you get it for $2, that's fine. You know, it's okay to have those long tail items. But I mean, other ways around it, I mean, you do have longer tail items. I mean, you can sell them at 60 cents on the dollar if you buy them at the right price. And those long tail items will be cut in half now because you're selling them below market value or whatever else is selling them. The thing is about moving inventory and keep that money flowing, you know? So if you go out and you spend $50 and you can quick make back $50 by selling 5 of your items, now you already have everything else you sell is going to be in profit. So what it really comes down to, what you really need to focus, not so much about the long tail and short tail items or quick flips, is your buy price. If your buy price is low enough, you will always make a profit. It doesn't matter if it's short or long.
So I'm going to disagree, and my way of looking at this has changed in the last month because I am I have been a big long tail seller, but without having help for eBay and without having a lot of time for eBay, I'm really going to try to focus on the shorter tail items or high dollar, one or the other. They're either going to be a big profit if they're going to sit here, or they're going to be fast selling. But with that being said, I'm also like Starr and have 3 thrift stores by me that sell dollar clothing. And whether I can make myself walk past that stuff or not is yet to be seen. But I think the biggest thing for me is, and how I became a long tail seller, is because I buy auction lots. I buy most of my inventory in online auction lots, and there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, really good things that are going to sell fast. And most of the time they pay for the lot. And then I've got 50 other things that are pure profit that take a year to sell. And so for me, what are you doing? Because I'm scared to wake up and get sick. It's okay. He's obviously sleeping in peace. He's snoring. So Dalton is like out. That's right, Mark, but you also don't want to drive the market down. So that's another thing to consider. So and I kind of actually talked about this on my video that'll come out Thursday, is that I feel like I haven't paid enough attention to the sell-through rate as much as I need to. So it's kind of like a confession of cat, and that's how I have so much long tail. And I want to try and change that. But again, I don't know if I can walk past those dollar items. But as far as the lots, I have a ton of inventory. So the big thing for me is going to be not buying lots unless I'm low on inventory, because that stuff just sits here and that's money just sitting, especially without having somebody to help list. So I am going to try and focus on the sell-through rate and pay attention to it more, just so I have less long tail items. That is my plan. I have been, honestly, my store is probably 75% long tail right now. To be completely transparent. And that's because for the last 3 years, I bought auction lots, and those 1 or 2 things that I bought that lot for, they sold fast, but I have to get every dollar out of a lot, and I list every single thing, even if I know it's going to take forever. So I actually, I just sold, we had a $600 day today on eBay. Our sales have been slow, and today was an amazing day. And it was a mix. It was half long tail, half short. So, I mean, and one more thing to just really point out is, if you're doing those long tail items, make sure you have the space. because a lot of people don't. I'm lucky enough. I have 3 sheds, and I do have the space to store that long tail stuff. But if you don't, and you get into, having to buy a storage unit or a second storage unit, then it might not be worth it, if that makes sense. I think we missed another super chat. Hold on.
Kat,
Yeah, I think here, Rachel.
Blessing or disguise for you, or
yeah,
have all that space?
Yeah, because I know I have space. Yeah. So that's why I said I'm kind of changing up my way of thinking when I don't have help. Like, do I really want to go buy 100 items in a lot when I can only list 5 or 10 a day? And it's going to take forever to list. So yeah, changing my thing, and that's the nice thing about reselling though, guys. You can change it as much as you want. Change what works for you. And whether it's space or time or whatever, like I know a lot of people that have more sold than listed. I have 1,000 sold and 6,000 listed. I mean, it is what it is. And it's all about how you source. So it depends on what you want. But like Rod said too, you don't want to pick up things you hate either and make yourself miserable doing it. So you should like whatever you're picking up. Miss Rachel sent a $4.99 super chat and said, "Are insertion fees charged one time per item or monthly until it sells? I don't have a store subscription, but have 350 for sale."
So with eBay, regardless of what type of account you have, whether it's personal or a store subscription, you get a certain number of free insertion fees essentially. If you have a personal one, I think you get 250, I believe. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. So you can basically list 250 free, and then anything after that are insertion fees. In regards to your question of do they get charged once or multiple times, they get charged every single month. So every 30 days, your items renew. So whatever you have in your store, let's say you have 500 items, then every single month, you're going to get charged an insertion fee for 500 items, plus whatever you also list additionally with that. But you do have to also keep in mind the amount of free listings that you get with either your personal account or your subscription. There are some videos on YouTube. I know we have one where we share a store subscription calculator where you can plug in how many you have, and it'll tell you like what the best option is for you, whether that's a personal or which store subscription, and it'll spit out a dollar amount that you'll pay. I would recommend going, you don't have to go to ours, but find one of them out there and figure out that cost to you. Because you might end up saving more money by actually having a store. Because I think you said you have 350, so you'd actually probably be saving money having a store.
Yeah, so I don't really have much to add, except for a small plug for Teresa Cox. If you guys are familiar with her, she works for List Perfectly, and she's part of the Boss Group. She has a really great visual calculator that shows the breakdown, and I believe they have it in their Facebook group. But she's really nice, and you can reach out to her and she'll send it to you. Because with 350, those are going to roll over. So you're going to be paying for 100 basically, and then anything. So if you're listing 5 a day, you're paying for 100 plus another 150. So it might behoove you to pay a store subscription. Plus you get free shipping supplies, coupons every quarter. So there's a lot of benefits.
Yeah, so the cost for listing, it breaks down, I think. So a basic store with 250 is 25 cents per listing. Premium store, I think, is 10 cents a listing. You go up to, I think 10,000, and then the anchor store comes up to like 5 cents a listing. So you just really need to break it down how many items you have, just what they said, and see if it's, at the end of the day, it's going to be more cost efficient. There's a cutoff point. You got to find out what the cutoff point is to get a store. But if you're going to keep expanding your business, and this is something you want to do either part-time or full-time, if you're listing consistently every day, it's a no-brainer to have a store. You could upgrade or downgrade your store at any point in time in there, but highly recommend looking into those. If you have the $25 store, you get a $25 credit, and if you have the $60 store, you get a $50 shipping credit every quarter. that you can use for shipping supplies through the eBay store, which you can get tape, which I don't recommend getting the tape. It's crappy, or boxes or poly bags, whatever you want to get. So, but I know people use it. I'm just saying.
I have a closet full.
Looking on the eBay tape. I see how it is.
I like the tape.
It's my
We
favorite.
order a lot of tape,
Do you?
but we don't ship hard goods. It's just clothing, so it's probably different.
All right. I have nothing to add to that. I think everybody covered that pretty well. So I am just going to give you your dolphin. And then I think we have 2 more super chats. And thank you to Gino. Gino was on with us last week if you missed it. Gino made a lot of those super chats. Gino, I did not upload the new ones, but I've had a very sick Dalton for a week. So I have an excuse tardy. I'm sorry. I will. He has 2 more new ones. I just have to upload them. Mimi Treasure sent a $9.99 super chat and said, I'm late but happy to catch a live, listening while taking photos. Hope Sweet Dalton feels better soon. Thank you so much. I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Here is your dolphin.
Super chat.
This next one's an interesting question, by the way.
Miss Jessica. Oh, Jessica, I made your mushroom. Jessica requested a special mushroom last Friday, and I made her mushroom. Anyway, and I'll send you a picture after we're done being live. Jessica said, considering switching from an everything store to mostly clothing, our thought is shipping is easier and faster and materials are cheaper free. I also thinking it would streamline the listing process. And the ladies in the bottom, all of these ladies are great ones to answer this question for you.
I think whether it's clothing or anything, I think niching down is always a good idea because you can become an expert in that category and it just makes everything that much simpler. So maybe not necessarily clothing, but that is what we do. What are your thoughts on that?
I have a love-hate relationship with hard goods. I will openly say that over and over and over again. If it's glass, I want nothing to do with it, unless I could do like a local pickup. We've tried it in the past. We've had things break no matter how much we've protected them. And it's honestly just really devastating for us and for the buyer if they get it, and then it's damaged. So I love doing clothing personally. I do think that it is a lot more streamlined. You can use all the same items to package. Most of them are pretty cheap or are free from the post office or however you decide to ship. And they're pretty minimal. I also think that as far as streamlining listings, I do know that if you get into, even for us, like a niche category, I know that Starr said she lists a lot of jeans. It's so easy if you do the same item over and over and over and you get into like a rhythm with it and the listings are all the same and they go up a lot faster. So I could see that you would save some time potentially by niching down. Like Cayley said, doesn't necessarily have to be clothes. You can pick whatever category you'd like to. I know we're a little biased when it comes to clothes, but I do think that it might be a good move for you to maybe start that way. And then if you decide later that you don't like it, you can always kind of put your feelers back out. Like Kat said, it's your business. You can change it at any point. If you like it, cool. If you decide it doesn't work for you, go back to what you're doing and kind of move forward in that manner.
Yeah, clothing's abundant also. So you can find anywhere basically to source. The problem with clothing is that you have a lot of competition because most people are skilled in, like, there's more clothing resellers in my opinion, or maybe I'm just biased because I see it, but at least in our area, there's a lot more competition for that. Whereas if we became an expert in hard goods, we'd probably be able to like smash it because not a lot of people have that knowledge. So more abundant, but a lot more competition, at least where I live.
Other side note to think about, sorry, I'm like we're abundantly taking over this topic. I knew this was going to happen. It's just to think about like conditions too. So when you're thinking about taking on clothing, I don't think people think about cleaning or steaming or stain treating, which we try to stay away from. But that's definitely something to keep in mind, is that you're going to have to take into consideration the condition of your items more. Not saying you don't with home goods, but you kind of know what you're getting into with a home good. And most times they're valuable enough that even if they have some like issues with them, they're still worthwhile. Sometimes we pick up clothing that we literally have to toss because we get back and realize under the light that it's just not good quality and we shouldn't have picked it up. So
Damn thrift store lighting gets me every time.
right.
So I have a lot to say too, because we started our business with $20 at the bends, and we've built it into a volume-based 6-figure business on multiple platforms. But we started with $20 at the bends, and we took our profit and went back to the bends, and we kept going until we had capital built. There is 2 of us. I guess I should add that because Kat was talking about how she's alone. There are 2 of us. I do have a Keith. He's not imaginary. And we follow our own advice. We have routines. We have to-dos. Certain days we do certain things. We have just processes in place that streamline everything and make it much faster for a volume-based business. And we do wash everything we thrift. We're both germaphobes and terrified of bed bugs and snot and everything else. So everything gets washed, but that's part of Keith's morning process. When he puts the packages on the porch, he starts a load of laundry, and it's just part of our systems that we have in place. But that's the thing with clothing. If you bring home 100 pairs of jeans, you can wash them, dry them, bring up a stack, photograph them, and list them. And that goes into the batch work that I always talk about on my channel. When you do batch work, you're going to be faster. If you have 2 pairs of jeans, 1 cup, 1 baby Yoda, and a coffee mug, you're going to be a lot slower at photographing, comping, and listing those items. Whereas if you have a stack of 50 jeans or a bag of plush that day, that's all you're working on. You're going to be quicker in batches. What else did I want to add? Oh, it is abundant. It's cheap, except when I lived in Florida. And it's easy to find. And I will say that kind of our thought process right now is going into these uncertain economic times. They say a recession is coming. Folks will stop having discretionary income for items that they want. But it's still illegal to be naked, and people need clothing, and they will start to look for affordable used clothing. And a lot of that will be scrubs for nurses, chefs' uniforms, things for jobs. So keep that in mind when you're sourcing. And I agree with the niching down, but not into one thing. So don't just do jeans, like do jeans and plush, or we do jeans and plush mostly, and Keith does a lot of electronics. Pick 2 or 3 things to learn and get really knowledgeable on, so you're not stuck just waiting for plush buyers. You also have jeans buyers.
So I have an everything store, and let me tell you, it's a pain sometimes because I run out of certain size boxes. There's something that doesn't, won't fit in one box, and I have to. So sometimes I find myself trying to package up items. I'm spending more time than I should be doing in other things, just because I just sell some one-off items that you get a Frankenstein a box or something like that. One of the advantages and here's the thing, I've been selling on eBay for over 20 years, and I've had very niche stores in the past, and I pivot and I've changed it multiple times throughout the years. I went from selling just toys to selling just bobbleheads, selling just video games, selling a lot of pop culture items. But I pivot and changed as the market was changing. One of the good things about selling clothes, or if you're niching down, just not to be clothes, any category, is you can literally pick up the item and you already know what it's going to weigh without even putting it in the scale and weighing it, because you specialize in selling those items. So now you don't have to weigh out your items every day. You can take a look at, you can estimate right off the bat, because 9 out of 10 times you know exactly what that's going to weigh. Or you can just buy the same packaging supplies because everything's going to fit in there. You don't have to try to worry about Frankenstein boxes, putting stuff together. So that does cut down a lot of time and reduces the amount of stuff that you do have to buy for your business. One of the good things about specializing in clothing, 2 things. If you go to every thrift store, what do you find? Books and clothing. Doesn't matter where you go. Every yard sale you go to, you find media and you find clothing. You're going to find this stuff everywhere you go. So you're going to have a lot of, yes, you may have a lot of competition out there, but there's a lot of places you can source. You know, like I used to sell nothing but video games at one point in time. Now you go to yard sales and thrift stores, you're lucky that day if you can find video games or you know, things like that, because there's so many people looking for that. So you just have to pivot your business. And just because if you change doesn't mean you can't change back or still dabble in the other things. If you still see a good deal, pick it up and you can still make that money. But, you know, you can switch it from 90% clothing to 10% other things. You know, it just depends on what you want to do. Just make sure if you do niche down, make sure it's something that you do enjoy listing, because you're going to put yourself in that category. And there is something about having a niche store. And I'll give you a good example. I always like to use the camera example, because if I'm going to buy like a high-end, spend high-end money on a camera, I would rather go to a niche store who sells nothing but cameras, because they're going to specialize in the camera. I know I'm going to get a good quality camera. I know it's going to work, and I know that they specialize in that. If I go buy just a one-off camera off eBay, I don't have that same confidence, and I'm going to have that seller because they specialize in that. So niche stores do go a long way, especially if you're selling specific things.
Yeah, so I am in an everything store as well, but I agree and want to throw in another thing as far as like the economy, and that is people are going to still need clothing, and there are still going to be people that the economy is not going to touch. Like the person that bought my $1,500 bracelet last week, I guarantee you, if there is a recession, they're still going to be buying a $1,500 bracelet. So I think you can take that to opposite ends of the spectrum, and you can look for high dollar stuff like my $1,500 bracelet. We sold a $200 figurine today. I sold $100 dog tags, World War II dog tags today. So I like having everything, but I would agree with listing. I do list in batches, so I'll list all hats one day, or I'll list all clothing items one day. So it's the same setup. So I do list that way, but mine's primarily because for me, more than a mix of short and long tail, I want a mix of low dollar and high dollar, because now that $1,500 sale for one little bracelet just beat last week's total sales in one sale. So I have the knowledge to do that, but you don't find those items, you know, so I don't feel that I could niche in only high dollar, because I don't find enough of those items. But I find unlimited dollar clothing at the 3 thrift stores by me, and that stuff will sell for 10, 12, 15 bucks. And what other investment are you going to have that you're going to 10 times your money? You know, so the $10 sales, in my opinion, aren't anything to look past. And I'm like talking myself out of what I said I just wasn't going to do. But that's the thing, you know, you can change it. You can change it depending on the help you have. You can change it depending on what you're finding. When I find those auctions that have those high dollar things, I might spend $5,000 to $10,000, but I might only find 1 to 2 of those a year, if that. You know, so that's where it's important, I think, to keep a bankroll too with your profits and have that money available. So if you do know this stuff, and like I just bought 50 lots from a high-end jewelry auction, that's where that $1,500 bracelet came from, and it sold in 6 hours, guys, 6 hours, and I paid $450. It's $1,000 profit.
Actually happened last week on the show as well.
Yeah, it sold at 9:58 when we were live last Tuesday. Sold and paid for, and I listed it Tuesday afternoon. So it was a super fast sale, but listen, if I could only find those, you bet your money that's what I would be selling. However, that is just not reality. That's just like all of the crab. If people remember the crab brooches I got 200 crab brooches for $2 each, and they included Christian Dior. There were $200 and $300 brooches in that lot that I paid $2 for. I have not, and I do not expect to ever find another lot like that again. But you have to have that money available to you when you come across that stuff. So I would just keep that in mind, because it would suck to see something you knew you could make $500 on and you didn't have the money to get it. So just keep that in mind. Eeny, meeny, miny. Here. I don't know. Okay, here, Jessica, you get Dalton on a dolphin. So I want to highlight this real quick, because it is not me that you need to be thanking. It is Mr. John from More Income who keeps gifting my memberships to people in the chat. John does that regularly. He sets goals for you guys for how many likes. And he is absolutely amazing and has been around my channel since I started. So if you got gifted, and I know Rod just got gifted his second membership from John, it's totally random, and John will gift 5 or 10 of you a membership to my channel a week. And Jessica said amazing answers, and Zena and I thank you very much. You are very, very welcome. If you guys missed it, Jessica Resell to Ride was on with us a few weeks ago as a guest. So check out that show, and she does have a YouTube channel. I think she just hit 700 subscribers, so definitely check Miss Jessica out as well. Let me see. Hold on. The phone is so little compared to. Can you hear him snoring or no?
No.
Okay, good. He's like so loud. He's a little man.
Oh.
All right, Miss Caroline. Oh, Cat. Miss Caroline says, what would be a good percent ratio? Oh, we just answered that. Come on, Kat. Hold on. You guys have to be patient with me tonight. The Artful Journey says, any insight onto what happened to Wholesale and why they are shutting down already? If you do not know, we might as well tell you. It was announced today by Wholesale that they are closing down their website. I think it's in June or July, but they are not taking any new listings as of today. So I don't know if any of us have any insight into that, but now you guys all know they did send an email out to all their users today that they are closing down.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't use them.
I've
So
never heard of them.
yeah, this is a first for us.
I'm going to have to pass on that.
I have no idea, but I can always ask Rockstar Flipper. So he lives in my neighborhood. I'll ask him.
Go ask your neighbor, Casey. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I used them for a little while. I posted some items on, but I feel like in the reselling community, it's really hard to gain traction for new apps and new companies because there's a lot of them out there. So that would be my only thing, is that maybe they had trouble gaining traction, but I honestly do not know.
Was it another selling app?
Yeah, it was like for wholesale lots.
Oh.
Like for resellers to either list. So if you wanted to source bulk clothing or buy bulk clothing. Oh, speaking of which, I definitely can help you source online. I saw your post, so you need to message me about that, because I'm like the queen of sourcing. Like, I cannot leave my house and have like 1,000 pounds of stuff at my door in like 5 days. It's a good and a bad thing.
Sounds dangerous. I'll definitely message you.
I Googled it. Google let me down. It doesn't know anything about wholesale either.
So their website's still up.
Yeah,
it says they're leaving it up until like June, I think. Siggy is asking, so Siggy, you can't, let me read the question first. Siggy says, is there a setting I miss? Every time I search for anything, all the international sellers come up first. You have to scroll several pages to get to USA sellers. You can definitely turn on a filter to USA only. And I do that when I am searching to buy things myself. Is set it to US only sellers. And I'll let everybody answer too, because it might be something to do with this new international shipping thing too.
It's kind of annoying because I think, at least on the app, because we're out and about when we're searching on eBay, so we're using the app, but it seems like every time like you refresh a search, like it won't save your preferences, so you have to click it a lot. But to be honest with you, I have noticed specifically in the last like couple of months, I've noticed a lot of what you're saying with international stuff, and that didn't used to be the case. Have you seen the same thing?
Yeah, there's been a lot of like eBay glitches in general with different search categories just across the board. Sometimes we'd be searching them and it would be like within 5 miles of your current location. And so you're searching and getting no results and you have no clue what's happening. I think Cayley and I both were in some thrift stores one day and we could not figure out what was going on. It did that for weeks. I think it's honestly just a glitch that eBay has been going through because we didn't have that issue before. But as Kat said, there is a filter that you can filter to just the US sellers.
It's an item location. Yep.
Yeah. So I took my glasses off so everybody can see me do this. That's how I feel.
couldn't hear you guys. Is it my turn? Is it my turn to talk?
No.
No, not yet.
I'm all hits
Okay.
her channel when I said no. I am so frustrated personally with eBay, and I try to be very positive all the time. My channel's very positive, and I try not to get negative. So even though I'm frustrated and there are a lot of glitches, there will be a time when it's fixed, right? So that's what I tell people. I'm very frustrated, but if I keep listing, eventually they have to fix it. And then I'll have more listings to sell. But it's frustrating because every time we go to comp something, which is very rare that we comp anymore, we do so much of the same things. And when I do the store reviews that people actually pay me for, I feel bad because I go to review their store and I can't pull up their items. It's telling me item already sold or item not found. That's what I'm running into. I'm seeing a lot of the international sales and at first I thought it's because I'm comping Disney plush, which is really popular overseas. No, it's just they're having a lot of issues. They did make an announcement a couple weeks ago. I put the link in my Facebook group that they did bring in an outside tech team to help with the coding and help fix the glitches. So let's keep our fingers crossed because apparently their antiquated software is coded by people from 1873, typing with T-Rexes and dinosaurs. But they did bring in an outside team, so fingers crossed they're going to get it fixed. And if you are seeing any of these weird things in searches, our buyers are seeing it too. So in addition to the economy, that might be why your sales are slow. But just keep your heads up and keep listing and cross-post to other platforms. That's my kind of passive-aggressive positivity towards eBay today.
As I always say, eBay is the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They are going to be one of the best online sites for you to sell. And unfortunately, their website is very antiquated. It's the same website they had 20 plus years ago. For them to change anything right now, especially when they have hundreds of millions of users on there, when they change something, it's a long process to do that. And it will mess stuff up because the algorithm has to relearn with every single change, and it goes through a process. So, things to do, unfortunately, when you have searches like that, it's like Kat said, you can change the settings on there and just try to search U.S. sellers or North American sellers only. But I would say, if you're running a bunch of glitches and problems like this and your sales are real slow, I always highly recommend that people start running sales and do other things during those times that eBay is having those issues to get more views on your items. And when you get more views on your items, you can send them a personal, best offer. And that helps me out. So anytime there's a glitch, people are complaining that sales are going slow. That's when I'm running heavy sales because I want to get more views on my item. And if I get more views, I can get more watchers, and then more watchers get more offers. So you kind of have to counteract what they're doing. So it's like playing chess. If they're making a move, you have to be 2 steps ahead every single time.
Yeah, and I'm sending higher offers, like higher percent off offers, because sales are slow and I want whatever the heck I can get. So where I was sending 15%, I'm now sending 25%. Because I buy smart. I most things I am $1 or less into, and I'm okay giving 25% off. So definitely you have to sometimes step outside the box. And I was talking to Mary earlier, Mary Garcia, and I have increased my promotion rate for the same reason. I buy cheap. I have room for that extra percent or two to bump it up. And I'm willing to get more sales. If paying 2% gets me an extra few $100 a week, then I'm okay doing that. And that's what I'm doing. And, and again, you can go back down on it. It's not like it's set in stone as the, algorithm and everything changes. I wanted to put Rosie's comment up. The international shipping on mandatory isn't eBay or isn't mandatory. You can opt out of it. I wouldn't recommend anybody do that though, because you don't ship it international. You just ship it in the country to eBay's shipping center and they do everything else. So I really don't see any advantage to turning that off. I would not if it were me. Cindy wants to know where's the cheapest place to purchase the suffocation bags. She's not trying to suffocate somebody, for those of you that don't know. So when I sold on Amazon, it was a requirement. Any poly bag you put in had to have the anti-suffocation notification. That is what she is asking about. So just to clarify.
Pass.
I say I don't know. We don't use those.
Yeah, now that you've clarified, I can't give you my true crime knowledge. So pass.
So when I buy mine, I usually buy them just directly off Amazon because I was selling on Amazon through FBA program in the past, and I just go through them because you can buy them in bulk off there, but that's what I use. Cat. All right, well, Cat disappeared. Let's go to the next.
Yeah, and I don't use them anymore either. And when I did for Amazon FBA, I bought them off Amazon. Uh-oh.
Cat, you there? All right, let's go to the next question. Does anyone do Posh Lives? I just got approved to host, but still trying to figure out how to get non-bags to sell.
We're just like our whatnot answer. We haven't tried Posh Lives yet. We'd like to in the future. But at this point, I don't think it'll become a main part of our business.
Same.
I do whatnot, but I have not done Posh Live, so we're going to pass on that. And I know Kat has not done a Posh Live, if I'm not mistaken.
Can you hear me and see me?
We can't see you. We can see your beating eye, your little white dot in there. So
you knew what I meant. I have not done Posh Lives, and I don't know that I would, because every time I see them, the highest amount of people in them is 20 people, and I know I get way more than that over on Whatnot. So for me, I think if something's working, I'm not going to try and change it. I'm the whole, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's kind of my method in a lot of things I do in business, and I am doing well on Whatnot. So I am not going to do that. I don't think.
Can I add something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a tiny plug for my Facebook group. But if you are in Flippin Hippos Reseller Pod, one of our members, Leslie, she's the lady that sources the plush for me and ships them to me. She does really well on Posh, and she's a very nice person. She came here to Pittsburgh for Liz Perfectly's party. And so you can go in there and just tag Leslie Parrish, and she'll answer your questions, and she's more than willing to help. She's really nice. I threw her under the bus.
Is he related to Casey?
Parrish.
Oh, not Paris.
Parrish.
It was so close. It was similar. Rocks to be me. Oh, was there a super chat, Rod?
No, but there's more jokes in the chat for you.
Oh gosh. Listen, guys. I don't know why it's not showing my picture. Rocks to be me says, when running a sale on eBay, do they take out the final value fee on what it was originally posted for, or the amount it actually sold for? She said she's confused on a payout on something she sold.
It's my understanding that it should only take it out for what the item actually sold for, which would be your sale price.
Oh, I messed it up.
Sorry, she was pulling the chat up.
I was looking for your chat.
I think it's my understanding that whatever the item actually sold for, whether you sent out an offer, it was on sale, that your final value fee should be on what the item actually sold for. And if that's not the case on your invoice or whatever, I think you should contact eBay.
Yeah. So if you do best offer or run sales, your final value fee should be from the total sale all in, including shipping.
I second that. So.
And eBay has a great feature now, guys. If you're on your seller hub and you click order and order details, I think it's only on the computer. It will show you a complete breakdown of all your fees on that item and exactly what you were charged for what. That is something new as of just the last month. That's a brand new feature. So if you are on the computer on the Seller Hub, you can hit order details and it will show you a breakdown of every fee. So like for me, it'll show my promoted fee. I don't have an insertion fee because I have a store, and it'll tell you every single like cent and what it went to. So I would definitely try and use that, and that should break it down, hopefully.
It might be your shipping.
Oh, click it again, Rod.
It's another joke.
What did Bradford say? Listen, buddy. See, the crazy thing is I'm seeing my picture with the dummy. I don't see the eye. Rod sent me a picture of me with the eye.
BDI.
I know. Listen, guys.
The eye
You guys better be glad I like it. We're going to talk later, buddy.
I'm done.
All right. Back to business. Rod's done. Not really. Linda said, what do you do when another eBay seller buys your item twice, promising to pay, and then ghosts you?
I would block them. I would absolutely block them. I don't know if you've been paying attention to our channel at all. I say ours, but it's really Cayley and I just show up. But people are sociopaths, and I don't know what has been happening. If it's the full moon, the new moon, but people are on some sort of like high horse right now, and it has been driving me absolutely insane. And I'm at the point where I don't need to make $50 off somebody that's going to drive me absolutely insane. So at this point, I will just give Cayley $50 not to have to deal with it. So I would absolutely just block them. Plus, I don't know how many times it is, but once they make promises to purchase so many times on eBay, they're going to start getting dings from eBay for promising to purchase items that they're not purchasing.
Yeah.
So.
Does anyone know? I feel like eBay would automatically catch
It's your setting. You can block them for having like X amount of unpaid items. I don't know when eBay will actually like take action on their account for that.
I think it's 3 from what I've seen, like from other YouTubers in the past. I'm pretty sure that it's 3, 2 or 3.
So my short answer is bye, Felicia.
Yes.
I don't play games in life or in business. You disappoint me once, you're gone. And Keith calls me block happy, and I don't care. I'm with you. Here, Keith, here's $50. Go buy yourself a hamburger and shut up. I blocked him.
Right.
I just don't have time for people, and it sounds attitudey, but I just don't. I don't need their pennies that bad.
So they don't call me picking and punching for nothing. So since I can't punch them, I'm gonna block them. Okay. But honestly, if you look at my block list, I swear it's literally 1,000 people long because I've been selling on over 20 years. So if you ask me a really stupid question that's like offensive, or if you send me stupid comments, or if you are asking about the how big is the I don't know, the dust on the corner of the item, it's going to be returned. So you're going to get blocked. I just don't want to deal with it. So, and if you buy something, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and you don't pay me, you're getting put on my block list because I don't want to deal with it in the past, because it's the worst thing when someone buys it. And there's other resellers, unfortunately, that will go out there, will buy your item or accept your offer to either get a high comp out there and not pay for it, or to remove your item from the list so that they are the next item up there. If it's something that's, 1 or 2 items up there, so they can be the only item. Unfortunately, there are people that do that. So they get one chance, they get blocked, and just move on.
Yeah, I wouldn't give them that second chance, especially if it was an offer. Like if they had bought it once and not paid, I am not going to let them again. And I also will block people. I don't have to give anybody money because it's just me. So I can block them because I want to block them. And I will, like, if they are asking incessant questions and I know that they're going to be problem after the buy, I will just go ahead and block them. And it's funny because sometimes they will message me and ask me, why did you do, and I just ignore them. So I would block them and move on.
I will say, though, do you know the thing that upsets me the most, though, if I send an offer and someone accepts it and doesn't pay, is I lose all my watchers. So especially if I had an item up there for like a long tail item for 3 months, 6 months, and I have 25 watcher on there, and someone's going to buy it, who's going to buy it. Someone accepts that offer, and then you get to relist it and start all over again. That is the absolute worst. So I wish eBay would change that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you lose that. And you also, a lot of times it's 4 days. So your item's also not on the market for 4 days. So they're costing, like in my eye, they're costing me money. You know, it's not just that they're not paying for it. My item's not getting seen, and you lose those watchers. So they're costing you money.
Yeah, eBay recently started giving you the option to require immediate payment on your buy it now or like buy now price. So we recently just started adding all of the like immediate payment require on all of the new listings that are going up to try to prevent a lot of that from happening. So
They're rolling that out slowly, so not everyone has that. We don't have it yet.
we got it like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, and we just started putting on everything we could.
We need it because that irritates me.
Yeah, I see some of the buyers that I think were in the rollout. So some of the offers, and I haven't had one in a while. Actually, like I'll get an offer and it'll say, this buyer has already input payment information. If you accept this offer, you'll be paid immediately. So it'll tell me, but I was getting a lot of them, but lately I haven't seen that many of them. Miss Teresa says I had 10 items that were not listed on eBay that I know I listed. Does anyone on the panel go through their inventory to check to see if their items are still listed?
I think I could make an entire YouTube channel on just like inventory queen. I'm so analytical and it makes my heart so happy that I love doing inventory. It's my favorite thing. I keep trying to convince Cayley to like hire me out to people to do inventory, but she won't let me yet. But yes, we absolutely do. When I first started with Cayley in April 2 years ago, we did a full inventory that August, and I think we found like 50 some items that eBay had kicked out, that they were listed, put away, and somehow got kicked out of the system over time. We do inventory about every 4 months, if I had to guess currently. And every time we do it, we end up finding a few items that have gotten kicked out, whether that's something that maybe a buyer went to purchase and we forgot to relist. We talked about those offers and people not fully paying. Sometimes you might forget to relist. Originally, eBay was relisting and then they stopped relisting. And I believe now, knock on wood, they're back to it. But there are always items that we find that we've either missed or we've made errors on. So I'm a firm believer in doing inventory and think that everybody should be doing a complete inventory at least twice a year. I know that's a lot, but I definitely think it's worthwhile.
I think too, like when I was a newer reseller, I was in the same mindset where I was like, oh, eBay just kicked these out and I don't know where they went. But after we started digging deep into it, we realized that 99, not always, but 99% of the time, there was a reason that the item wasn't there anymore. And it wasn't eBay. It was a return had happened. We didn't relist it, multiple reasons. But usually if you actually research the item, most of the time there is an explanation. And if you do a little bit of research, you can figure out what that is to prevent that from happening in the future.
There are also the fairies. I call them the inventory fairies. They're close cousins of the goblins that steal your socks out of the dryer. So there are listings that will just magically or ironically fall off. I recommend doing it once a quarter. So that's 4 times a year. We actually only do it twice a year. So that's one of those instances. I say this on my channel, do as I say, not as I do. But I do recommend 4 times a year. But we have so much volume, 2 is rough. We just completed one in January, and I found over 100 items that had fallen off of eBay for whatever reason. So it is important that you do that, because if they're sitting in your inventory management, however you manage it, ours is in bins in the garage, and we don't know it fell off because we've got thousands upon thousands of listings. It's just sitting there. It's not making you any money. It's not doing you any favors. So it is a good idea to go through it. And, you could just do a bin or 2 a night while you're watching CSI or true crime or a horror movie. You don't have to focus on it, is what I'm saying. So I do recommend doing it.
So there was at one point in time in the past, eBay, there was a glitch that would actually end your listings. That was a glitch a long time ago. And there was a glitch that would turn on free shipping. There's all kinds of glitches in the past. So this is why it's so important. I can't stress enough to have, we use lists perfectly, to have it, because you put all your listings in there your inventory is already in there. So if you go through and you do an inventory and you have 50 or 100 items that listed, those listings are already done. All you have to do is just go in there and quick pop them right on, and you'll have all those listings up that same day. So that's why it's so important. If your account gets suspended, if something happens, you get kicked off eBay. I was taken off eBay at one point in time, over a decade ago, and it sucked at that time. I didn't have all the different options, but now having all the platforms to sell on. So that's why it's so important to have something like this perfectly. You can put all your inventory in there, and then also too, you can take a look and see what you have in there. And for me, I should do inventory once a year. I don't. Because I have such a big death pile at this point in time where I'd rather just take items from my death pile and list it. But I do find items in bins when I'm, sticking items in bins. I'm like, hey, I don't remember seeing this. Why hasn't it sold yet? So that's how I find items in there. I should be better with it, but it happens to everyone. So you definitely should do it at least once a year. But it's tough, especially the cat has 6,000 items. It would take her a month to do inventory. And that's a month that she could be listing, doing something else.
Well, it'll probably take longer than that. So I need to hire Nikki to come and do inventory, since that should be your side hustle. You should be like an eBay inventorier.
We're pretty good at it. We've got like 58, I would say between 55 and 58,000 items, or not 58,000, 5,800 to 5,500 items. And we can do an entire inventory in like 8 hours.
But we have 4 people though doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't done an inventory in years. But I'm like Rod, where like I actually, like, the last day I pulled the ship, I pulled 4 items and I checked. And I'm like, these are cute. Why haven't they sold? It was like brand new Fly London wedges and a cute little resin, like hot chocolate mug that is super cute. And I'm like, how did this not sell? And sure enough, none of them were listed. So what I've started doing is, like, if I see stuff that I feel like should have sold by now, I'm looking it up while I'm pulling, like, for stuff to ship, and finding stuff that way, which isn't effective. Our plan was for Lynn to start going through that stuff, and then Lynn just went. And so now it's just Kat. But yeah, see, and I mean, that's a good idea, Karen, for sure. She's saying when she does her inventory, she pulls aside pictures or items with terrible pictures to redo. We definitely need to do it. And I almost would pull those poop items, as Starr says, and pull them to donate when I'm doing inventory. I just do not have enough time. And like, as far as pulling that stuff, it would have to be me going through it, because there's nobody else that would, have the knowledge to know, okay, this should get pulled and be gone. Dalton's teacher, who this is the last week of school, she is interested in helping me list on eBay. So I am hoping I will at least have a lister soon, which will pull some of the responsibility off of me, of the 5 full-time jobs that I have, wearing many hats. But yeah, so I think if you are capable of doing it and have the time, that it is a good idea. I think I, for multiple reasons, don't have the time to do it, because it would be time taken away from making money from listing or doing whatnot shows or whatever. So it's priorities for me. But Starr is right. It is stuff sitting there just like death pile that is not listed. But this stuff isn't even in your death pile, so you don't even know it's just sitting there not making you money. So if you can, I would say, and Starr had a great suggestion of doing a bin a night, and doing it while you're watching TV or whatever. And for me, I have a lot in bankers boxes and bins, but I also have a lot just on big shelving units, because I do a lot of hard goods and breakables. So for me, I could do that with my bins, but I couldn't do that like with the whole shelf that there are no boxes. I went to all my new stuff goes in boxes, whether it's breakable or not, because it's easier to handle that way. But yeah. Miss Judy, I don't know if you're still here. As far as a broken shipment through eBay, the only thing that would go through eBay would be if it was the international shipping that you need to report with them. USPS, you file directly through USPS. And I believe UPS, there's supposed to be a way, but I will tell you it is a vicious circle and I could never get to the form to file a claim. But I will tell you, if you do not have really good pictures of that item arrived in a damaged box and was mishandled, it is probably a waste of your time. Even if you do have those, they might require your buyer to bring it into the post office, which some buyers are not so willing to do. I had a $600 shipment get damaged, and this poor lady brought it to 3 different post offices, and they kept sending her someone out to somewhere else saying they weren't qualified, and I ended up just having to give her the money. So unfortunately, USPS returns are not very easy anymore. Here's a question for Nikki and Cayley. I've been learning clothing and adding to my collectibles-based store, Chicos and J.Jill mostly to start. Nothing is sold yet. Do you think, and I'm assuming she means with the brands Chicos and J.Jill, do you think it will take over 3 months for her to start seeing clothing sales?
I would say it really depends on what the comps were when you picked up that item. When you're checking eBay sold, if when you checked them, they had the same amount active as were sold, then the item should sell within 90 days as long as you listed it correctly and you priced within market. With those brands specifically though, not everything sells quickly in those brands. There are a lot of factors involved with it. In my experience with Chicos and J.Jill both, it seems, in my opinion, that the only stuff that sells quickly are the larger size stuff, so plus sizes, which for Chicos is like, I don't know,
a 4 and up.
Yeah, 4 and up. Or maybe you have something unique that you can factor stack with. But those brands in general, and not just those brands, but any brands, in my opinion, most things you can't just say, I'm picking up these brands, they're all going to sell within 3 months. It really depends on what you have. But if you've got larger sizes in those, you've got some good factors, maybe some good materials, then you might see them sell in 3 months. But if you're just picking it up and not considering those factors, I'd say they might take 6 months to a year to sell. And that's why it's really important, if you want to focus on high sell-through rate, to, when you comp, include some of those factors in. So don't just search J.Jill top, search J.Jill top size small, and then you'll be able to see if the size smalls are selling or not.
Can I answer too?
Yeah.
So Keith and I do a clothing guide and a jeans guide and a plush guide. And every year we update them for that year. And we do our research mostly with Worth Point and Terra Peak. And we put the sell-through rates for 150 different brands, used and new, for men's and women's, in these guides. And we color code them on how fast they are. So anything that sells quicker than 3 months is green on the guide. 3 to 6 months is yellow. And then over 6 months is red. And right now, with the way the markets are, our 2023 guide has the most red out of any guide we've ever done. But the majority of items, and I say this on my channel all the time, the majority of your bread and butter items are going to take 3 to 6 months to sell. It's just average. It's just the way it is. It's just clothing. It's long tail. There's a lot of competition and saturation. Specifically to Chicos and J.Jill, I'm going to tell you those are always red. They fall in the 6 to 9 months category. Except with Chicos, if you can find the so slimming or the so lifting jeans, because they're shaping. Women love shaping jeans. But that's our experience. And we do research this every single year. So I can tell you honestly that most brands are going to take 6 months or more.
Oh, well, I think this one's for Starr. I think Starr needs to answer this one. It says, any advice for cleaning vintage cloth fabric birds? Ducks, chickens, roosters, etc. There is some type of stuffing inside of them.
Okay, so with vintage plushies, you don't want to put them in the washing machine. Ask me how I know. When I first started reselling, I had some vintage Raggedy Ann dolls and had to throw them away. They fell apart. There was stuffing everywhere. You can't put regular plushies in the washing machine. You can put a pillowcase over their head if you're worried about their eyes getting scratched, but never, ever, ever, never, ever, never, ever put them in the dryer. People will argue with me, but you will crimp their hair. It ruins them. If you want to clean them and not put them in the washing machine, I'm going to go grab what I use to show you. You can steam clean them, which can, if you can still hear me.
Yes.
Steam cleaning does help get rid of germs and any possible bed bugs if you buy the right steamer. It touts on the front. And steaming like on a stain will help loosen it. But this is the best thing to use. You can get this at the Dollar Tree. It's $1. And you can get it in big jugs and refill spray bottles as well and be even more frugal. You're supposed to use 2 parts water to 1 part of this. I do what I want. I use it full strength. I spray it directly on stains or anywhere I want to clean. And I have this really old Tide pen. It's been empty for 8 years. But whatever this is made out of, the tip, is really good for scrubbing plush. So spray this on, let it sit overnight, respray it again in the morning if it's a really bad stain. Scrub it with an old Tide pen, blot it with a paper towel, and then take a lint roller and fluff it back out. And if there are ones you can't put in the wash, you can spray this liberally, let them soak overnight, and then wash them in the washing machine.
Let me see. Beachwalker, I'm going to just answer this real quick. You can block non-paying buyers, and they actually have a quick link to it now on the eBay Seller Hub that I absolutely love, and it says block bidders. And you can also do a blanket block on people that have like 2 unpaid items in the last 6 months or year. So there are a couple of options there for you. Lisa, you're in membership, so just remind me next Members Live if you can't find it, and I'll walk you through on the screen share on the next one. Let me see. We're going to pick one more question. We only have a few. We're going to pick one of you.
Hey, Starr, hold on, Starr. What was the name of that brand? People are asking.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome. You can order it on Amazon, but you can get it at Dollar Tree for $1. So why wouldn't you just go get it for $1?
Listen, I just started, me and my cheap self, right? So I have to say I'm incredibly guilty of using Amazon Prime for subscriptions. And I didn't check the prices. And so like Dalton has been drinking Pediasure because he's like the pickiest eater in the world. So I've started having him have a Pediasure a day. And it was $20 more on Amazon than it was on Walmart. And I'm like, I wonder how much I'm losing on the 10 other subscriptions for laundry soap and paper towels. So that is on my to-do list. Like I'm like so frugal with everything, except I am like so easy to hit subscribe and save on Amazon Prime. And I was like, $20, like, yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm very frugal. Walmart's your best bet usually.
Yeah, I need to go because like I get like my paper towels, my toilet paper. Mm-hmm. I get them all in bulk, and I just do like subscribe and save every 3 months. But I bet they're way cheaper on Walmart. And yeah. Walmart, you can subscribe. I didn't even know that. You can
and
subscribe on Walmart. Yes. So we're going to have to change here soon. Last question is going to be from Taylor Exchange. Taylor has been on our show as well. It was a long time ago, though. We need to get him back on. Sean. He said he has a question for Cayley and Nikki. What is the lowest priced item that you guys list?
Sean. Hey, Sean. Catches me up too. So we have some items listed for pretty cheap, but there are old items that got dropped prices on. But as far as picking up any newer items, we try to stick, I would say we try not to pick up anything below $25. Our average sale price or our average cost of goods in this area is typically not going to be any more than $5 usually. So we try to focus on a minimum of like a 5 and to 25. Sometimes we make exceptions. I think the lowest we'll ever go is like probably $20. And that's because it maybe has like a really high sell-through rate. An example I could give is like a Life is Good men's extra large t-shirt. I can pick them up for $4.99 full price at Goodwill in our area. but they're probably not going to sell for $25. They're probably going to sell for $20, but I know they're probably going to sell in a couple of weeks. So we'll pick them up for $5 and flip them for $20. But we don't tend to go any lower than that. And most of the time we try to stick to 25 and up. And that is mostly because of our buy costs.
That makes sense. And you got payroll too. You've got employees, so you have to take that into account as well.
Yep.
And I was looking at changing that, but now I'm back to a one cat operation. So $10 and $15, here we come. No.
Yeah, ours is 15 because we get stuff for 99 cents. So actually 12. I mean, Keith will find men's shirts for $12 to $18 that we can sell for 12 to 18. We pick them up for 99 cents, but they're extra larges. They have nice prints. They're going to sell faster. When it comes to jeans, I try to aim for 20 as my lowest because I'm going to profit around 9 or 10. And that's after shipping and fees and cost. Sometimes I'll go for 18. I love I love Hollister. I know people think it's poop, but I flip Hollister all the time, and it actually sells faster for me than what the sell-through rates predict it will. It goes really quick, and it's always junior sizes, so it ships first class, so I'm okay with the 18. But also keep in mind, we pay 99 cents for most of our items. When we lived in Florida and our average cost was $5 for everything, we would aim for 25 to 30 being our lowest. But now that we're back to 99 cents, it's all coming home with me, and I don't care.
Yeah, for me, it depends what I'm selling. Like if it's video games or like DVDs, it's a quick 1 or 2 photos and I can list this all. I will list those for, $7-8 at the lowest. Other than that, I'll lot them up. But I mean, usually I try to stay in the $15 to $20 range for most of my items. But I will say if it's something I buy, if I buy a bulk or a lot, I will list $10 items. I mean, if they're easy to list, I've been trying to lot more items up now that have a higher higher price for all my items. But it just, if you go to my store, there's items in there, they're $4 or $5. I've been there for probably a year now that I just have discounted. I just want to move it because if I already take photos of it, it's already listed. I'd rather take 60 cents and $1. It's already up there and just move it. But
I have $2 and $3.
Yeah,
For like 3 years.
We have some $7 items.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with like if it's easy, like my Harley pins, I paid $1. I listed a bunch for like 7, 8, 9, but we could list like 50 of them in an hour. And then they only go in a little padded poly and off they go, and they're 3 ounces. So, and I do plush shipping on everything. So we're still profiting about $5 a piece for just a few minutes of work. License plates were the same. I paid $1. I have some listed at $9, $10, but there were 1,000 of them. So that adds up profit wise really, really fast. But ultimately, I think my average sales price last year was like $30, $38. Because I get those $1,500, $2,000 sales that throw everything else out of whack. But I still do sell some $3 stuff. So that is the last question. I have no clue who's going to be on next week. I guess I can look while somebody's big saying goodbye. So Cayley and Nikki talk for a little while, and I'll go see who's going to be on. We'll let Cayley and Nikki tell you bye and Starr and let you know what's going on. Rod will let you know. And then I will let you know. Rod, can you make those ladies big? Thank you, sir.
all right, you girls ready?
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having us on. I appreciate Kat for having us on our channel. Thanks to you guys for all of your amazing questions. And honestly, I think we learned a lot of stuff too about like things we don't normally deal with, like Whatnot, Posh shows, some hard goods stuff, like a lot of great answers. And so I'm learning stuff from everyone on the panel as well. If you guys, some of the people who asked specific clothing reseller questions, if you guys are interested, you can go to my channel. Nikki's on probably half of the video, so you'll see her too. But we deal all in clothing. It's under Cayley Elaine, and my name is spelled on the screen. If you want to come find us, we'd be happy to have you over there and answer some of your clothing questions. Is that enough time?
All right, thank you. All right, Starr.
Okay, well, yes, again, thank you so much for having me on today. I appreciate Kat having me on. I appreciate Rod giving us his time as the co-host. and everyone who showed up in the chat. I learned a lot too. I'm sure you guys saw me with my pen writing away my bullet journal. I was taking notes tonight, so I got to learn some too. If you want to learn more about clothes, plush, we're Flippin Hippos on all the social media. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Flippin Hippos everywhere. I do focus a lot on teaching. So it's a lot of hauls and what sold. I do a lot of tough love. I tell you how it really is. And I do cooking videos. I should mention that. So if you like to be frugal and save money and budget in the kitchen and menu plan, I do a Hungry Hippo series as well. And you can also find me on List Perfectly's listing parties. I do a true crime party every Friday.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you. So you guys can find me on, find me on YouTube, Picking and Punching. I just dropped 2 videos. My second last video I just dropped, we went to 25, even to 25 yard sales in one day, see how much money we would spend, how much money we would make. So it's a cool little video. So go check it out. I dropped a new video today. I usually do twice a week, every Tuesday, Friday. Any questions that we don't answer on here, you guys can always email me or hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. I'm Picking and Punching. I respond to every single comment, every single message. So I'm here to help at any point in time. Follow me on Whatnot. I am starting to do live Whatnots on there as well. And I think that's all I got. So, and then check me and Kat on the List Perfectly event.
Yeah, for sure. And we will give away 2 tickets next week since I was unable to be on the computer this week. I'll double check that through Trish, but I think I'm safe. Thank you guys for putting up with my evil eye all night since Mr. Dalton is sick. He is still snoring away, which is a good thing. And next week, and I do need to verify, next week's scheduled is Mary Beth and Laura from Fat Bird Spines and George the Antique Nomad, one of my most favorite people in the whole world. Very, very good in-person friend. He did lose his mother recently, so that's why I'm saying I need to check and make sure he's still okay to come on. So I will verify that. And I will be live on Whatnot tomorrow night with vintage and estate jewelry. And then Thursday morning, we're doing antique postcards, and I read them all. It's like story time with Kat. I read these postcards that are over 100 years old, and it is super fun. Even if you're not buying them, it's really fun. And you hear people yelling at each other 120 years ago for not doing something. One of them said they were talking cross to them and they were apologizing. It's really interesting what you see on these postcards. And then it's so fun. And then Thursday night's more jewelry. Friday is my resin only show. If you guys haven't seen my resin art, I have some really, really cool pieces. I'm having fun making things. You know, that's the whole reward thing. The nice thing about my reward thing is I sell it and I still make money. And that's how I roll typically. Like almost everything I do, I'm going to, like when I raised chickens, I sold chicken. You know, it's just what I do. It's in my blood. So Friday is all resin show. Thank you guys for all the well wishes for Dalton. He did start the antibiotics. So hopefully he will feel better soon. It's his last week of school, so we're hoping he can make it at least the last day. The doctor said he could go back Thursday, which means he would be able to go the last 2 days if he's feeling up to it. He's sad because tomorrow they're going to visit kindergarten, and it was like a little field trip to get to see what kindergarten would be like next year, and he was crying. So his teacher told me she would walk him over herself to kindergarten either Thursday or Friday. To bring him so he can go because he's very nervous. He says kindergarten, they don't get to play. He does not want to go to kindergarten. So I appreciate all 3 of these ladies coming on. Rod, as always, thank you so much for all of your help. And we will see you guys next week. Thank you all so much for coming.